Okay, so the video I want to talk about is it's in fact here I'll just share it on screen. So I came across this one, and by the way, 2 months ago, this is going to be really funny, and I didn't see this until I made this search. He said Solana to 1,000. Here's exactly why and how. And then 2 months later, he's like, I'm selling all my Solana. um, I'll say though that actually the two things aren't contradictory, although it kind of seems that way. I know it kind of seems that way, but it's actually not that contradictory when we watch the video. And it's a pretty short one. So and Jeb talks pretty fast, so I don't think I'll actually speed up like I usually do. But yeah, this is a really we're gonna do some math. We're gonna dig into. So we're not gonna just watch the video. We're gonna actually talk about. I'm gonna show you why I think it's kind of silly. His video is kind of silly, but let's watch.
I'm selling all of it. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly why I am going to be selling all of my Solana. You see, I have discovered something absolutely insane about the way that Solana works from an inflationary standpoint.
By the way, we're gonna see that's not actually that insane, but we'll get there.
You see, we invest in Bitcoin to get away from the inflation of the United States dollar. We invest in the stock market to get away from the inflation of the United States dollar. And you may have thought that you were investing in Solana to get away from inflation, but instead, you have been participating in a system that has lost nearly half of its value in just the last 3.5 years. And
Except not really, but we'll see.
doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the dirty truth of one of my largest cryptocurrency holdings and why I am planning on selling all of it when the time comes. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Video. But I don't care, because you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to be selling my Solana right now, but I am going to be cashing out all of it relatively soon, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, as it approaches a new all-time high. And the reason for that is why we're here today. The story starts on CoinMarketCap. You see, right now, Solana trades at roughly $170 and a $76 billion market capitalization. Over the last several months, you guys have seen me compare the price action and the market cap chart on Solana to show you the amount of inflation, but never until a few days ago did I go and actually calculate the inflation rate of Solana, and what I discovered shocked me. When we invest in cryptocurrencies or the stock market or real estate, just about anything, one of our primary reasons for investing is to get away from the inflation of the currency that we would otherwise be holding. Over the last 100 years, the United States dollar has lost over 95% of its value. I just heard about a couple that is trying to sell a $3.8 million property that was bought in the 90s for 190 grand. There's a huge amount of inflation that goes on in the United States dollar, and we're trying to run from that. Never did you think that you would be running to something that could be up to 10 times more inflationary than the dollar, called Solana. You see, I've been telling you guys for a while that over the last 2.5 years, Solana has gone through at least 25% inflation when we calculate the difference between the price action chart here and the market cap chart. On $75 billion in market cap back in 2021, we saw Solana go to $250. Right now, on $75 billion in market cap, Solana's only at $170. Well, I discovered on Masari that I could actually find the circulating supply of Solana over time, even with the free account. This is Masari.io. You simply come up here, type in Solana, hit Solana, then come right.
Okay, we're gonna look at this, and one of the surprising things is that there's no comparisons here. It's like, well, I mean, he talks a little bit. He will talk a little bit about Ethereum and Bitcoin, but he hasn't looked at other coins and their price action, and he didn't compare price action between any of them. So we'll get to that in a second, and I'll show you why that matters.
Right over here to the left and hit the supply button. That'll bring you to this chart, set it to 5 years, and you will see the increasing supply of Solana here, and it is absolutely terrifying. In January of 2021, when Solana was getting started, its circulating supply was 261 million. As it stands right now, its circulating supply is 448 million, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. Numbers such as a 1.5% eventual inflation target have been thrown around by Solana for a very long time. We are nowhere near that. Talks of a 5.6% inflation rate has been thrown around for a very long time. We're nowhere near that. Signs of an 8% inflation rate have been thrown around for a very long time, and we're nowhere near that. No, instead, it's more like 21%. Let me show you. In between the month of January 2021 and the month of May, which is this month, 40 months have passed. 3 years and a third. To calculate the inflation rate of Solana, we simply have to divide 448 million, its current circulating supply, by 261 million, the supply in 2021, while keeping in mind that 40 months elapsed during that time period. When we divide 448.53 divided by 262, the amount of Solana in existence in January of 2021, we can see that Solana has gone through 71% inflation in those 40 months. If we divide a 71% inflation rate over 40 months by 40 months, then that gives us an average inflation rate of 1.775, not per year, per month. Multiplying that number by 12 over the last 40 months, we have seen an average annual inflation rate on Solana north of 20%. This is exactly why I will never hold Solana for the long run until this changes. My investment philosophy is first and foremost to beat inflation. That's like bare minimum, is to beat the United States dollar's inflation. But here's the problem. You also have to factor in the inflation of whatever asset it is that you're investing in. Bitcoin is very much sound money. You don't have very much inflation, if any, on Bitcoin. In fact, over the last 5 years, Bitcoin has gone through roughly 10% inflation. Not in 40 months, in 60 months. It's gone through 10% inflation, whereas in 40 months, Solana went through 70. That's right. The Solana inflation rate has been 10 times higher than Bitcoin's and higher than the United States dollars. Ethereum, on the other hand, has actually become slightly deflationary ever since late September 2022, when a major update came out, leading to a massive amount of burn on the token allocation, which has led to its inflation ceasing entirely. When you invest in an asset, you're first trying to beat the inflation of the individual currency that you're investing in, that being the dollar. Then you have to add on top the inflation of the asset that you're investing in. In Bitcoin's case, that inflation is very low. In the case of Ethereum.
But why? Why does that matter? Okay, let's get into this. He's pretty much made his argument. So, all right, let's go to Masari. This is what he's talking about. And you guys can follow along. You can do this too. This is all free. You don't have to have you go to supply. I tried this for Sui Network. Sui Network does not have supply, but the other ones do. So here's the 1 year. So I thought he picked a kind of a weird period. So I thought, well, let's just look in the past year because we can compare that to price action. So at the very end, it's about 396. Right now it's 448. Let me see my calculator. So he's going to do the math. I'm not. So let me just plug in 448.5. Oops, that'd be the second one. 448.5 and 396. We'll make it easy. 396. Calculate. And yeah, about 13.2%. So that's a really important. Are we on this one? Okay. Really important figure to keep in mind, 13.2%. I'm going to write that down on a little notes file. Just give me a second. So that's the supply inflation, which it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with dollar percent inflation. So I don't really understand the point he's making. But we'll get to that. Because our thought was, well, you know what? Oh, are you kidding me? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to take a little note of that, 13.2. Calculated these out beforehand, so. Okay, let's just do Algorand. We like Algorand, right? So let's do that. We can go to charts. We go to the coin first, we go to the charts, and we go to supply. And I think 1 year is automatically pulled up, is it? Yep. And we have 8.15. Oh, keep taking the second value first. Hold on. 8.15, and then we have 7.24. We'll say 7.2. Calculate it, and we got 13, just under 13.2. So let's Algorand 15.19. So those are roughly the same. And by the way, these are the ones I chose when I just decided to check this too. Well, how about something with a huge number of coins? Go to Hedera here. All right, so our starting amount here is 31.5. That's pretty close. 31.5, adding it in, and 37.75. We'll say, and that's 19.8. Oop, here we go. You guys probably want to see that. 19.8. So we're all around that. That one actually is a little bit higher, huh? Let me just check my math. I didn't do anything wrong here. 31.46, 31.5. Yep, 37. So that one actually had a little bit more inflation, right? Okay, so we got 3 coins here. We've got Solana. Here, I'll just go back here. This one looks better. So we got 3 coins. We got Solana at 13.2% inflation, Algorand at 13.19, so almost the same as Solana, and then Hedera at 19.8. Now let's go back here to our good friend CoinMarketCap. Let's go to Solana. Yeah, what was the question? When am I getting a new PC? All right, here we go. So we are up over that year with this horrible, terrible inflation that's killing our gains. If you invested exactly a year ago, you made 729%. 729% on your money. In other words, it was, where was it? Is this the beginning? Yeah. So it was like $15 and now it's 169. So according to Jeb's argument, right, I was such a fool. I lost all this money due to inflation because the supply went up. What do I care? I just made 729%. That's not only enough to beat a year's worth of standard inflation. That would just about take care of any inflation I would have for the rest of my life. Probably the rest of yours. I don't know how young you are, but I don't think that matters. 729%. Like, how on earth does the supply matter if this is what it's doing? By the way, that was let's keep that in mind. This was 13.2% inflation that he's talking about, coin inflation over that year. He went back 40 months, but I'm going back just to make the comparisons easy. Let's just do a year, right? It's 729% up. Okay. I don't give a crap with the circulating supply inflated. Who cares? The reason that Bitcoin is not inflating as much is that it's reaching the top of its peak. We're getting really close. Ethereum's kind of going backwards. We'll talk about that, but let's look at Algorand next. I'm sorry these take a little while to load up. Well, this one's going. Kind of wish you could cut out all the junk maybe, but I really just want the chart. We could do comparisons too, but okay. Okay, now this is over 1 year. This is it's up 6% on a year. So if you bought it a year ago, but guess what? You still made up for inflation. Again, the supply inflation, I don't care. It doesn't impact me. Like it doesn't, and it had no effect on price, right? These two, Algorand and Solana, had the exact same inflation, like nearly identical. And they're wildly different by 700% to 6%. Okay, well, let's look at Hedera. Hedera's was pretty good. Algorand's going to be the worst one. I'll tell you that right up front. So bottom line with Solana is if you put $1,000 in like a year ago, you kept up with inflation and well beyond that. Okay, here's the yearly chart for Hedera, and we are up 110%, almost 111. So again, you're doing just fine keeping up inflation because the only thing that matters is the dollar amount. This stuff doesn't care. I don't care because it's not impacting. If it was having such a huge impact on price. Remember, this one was higher. This was 20%, and it did way better than Algorand. Like we're seeing zero correlation basically between price and dollars. Because under his theory, like it should be worth less. Like I think he's just making some weird conflations here. Because if I'm an investor and a year ago I put in $1,000, I more than made up for that. Like, so where is if I took out that $1,000 today, it's doubled. It's $2,000. It's more than $2,000 because it's 110%, right? So where did inflation get me? Like there's, where's this coin inflation hurting me? I don't see it. Like where would that actually practically hurt me? It just seems like a nonsense position. And then let's look at Ethereum then. See what Ethereum has to say. Now remember, this is the one that's deflating. With some burn mechanisms. There's actually less supply than there was. Oh, we didn't look at that one. I'm sorry. He showed it, but we can look at it really quick. He's right on this part, even over because he wasn't showing a year. So let's just look over a year, which is what it will come up right away. Yeah, so circulating supply, it's actually down 120 versus 120.11 where it was 120.26. So slightly deflationary, right? Right? What did that do? It's up 69%. So again, not, less than a factor of 10 of Solana. And also, Crypto Jeb, why are you putting me in a position where I have to defend Solana? Why would you do that to me? Because to be clear, I am not a fan of Solana, but I am a fan of its price action. I don't think it works great as a blockchain, but clearly in price action, it works really well. So it just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to say that you're not going to invest something because the inflation is so bad. Well, that would be like almost all altcoins except for Ethereum, but clearly that had no impact on price.